This program was first broadcast on Canterbury's access media station, Plains FM, and was made with the assistance of New Zealand On Air.
So today I'm very excited. I've got the lovely Keryn O'Neill from Brainwave Trust. So I feel very lucky and privileged to have this conversation with her. And we're going to be talking about all of those everyday activities that we do, that we kind of have to do, and the benefits and the opportunities these provide for our tamariki.
Thanks for joining us for Being Real Parents with me, Anna, and my colleague and buddy,
Kate. We work in the parenting space.
And it's here where we'll talk about our worlds as parents, the good, the not so good, and the hilarious, and mix this with what we know about behaviour and psychology.
Kia ora, Keryn. So lovely to have you here with me.
Kia ora, Kate. Good to be here.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, you've met with Anna on the podcast before, so it's so lovely to have you back. And I know Anna introduced you then, but it makes sense to reintroduce you to anyone that maybe didn't listen to that episode. But a great reminder to maybe go back and listen to the other one as well. So, Keryn, my understanding is that you're the knowledge manager at Brainwave Trust, which it's a very cool job title. I like it. Can you tell me a little bit about what it means?
It's a very cool job. I like it too, even more importantly. At Brainwave, our vision is about ensuring that all tamariki are valued and nurtured, and we do that through sharing information from science and also Indigenous knowledge around tamariki development. And my role is on the science side of that. So I review the research from all sorts of disciplines, local New Zealand research and overseas, to help us understand the things that make a difference and that can help or get in the way for our tamariki, and then to make that more accessible and understandable to whānau and to those that are working with tamariki or whānau.
Awesome. That's so cool and so necessary. Hey, I know for myself even, sometimes you read pieces of research and you're like, man, I just wish someone would simplify this for me. Tell me what it's actually saying.
Yeah, let's cut to the chase.
Yeah, awesome. That's very cool. And obviously, Brainwave does a load of different things, a lot of different workshops, and their website is a great place to obviously go to find out more, I guess. Would that be a good place to check out?
Definitely be worth checking out our website. Both, there are lots of articles posted there that parents and whānau can read on all sorts of different topics, as well as information about our workshops and information on how people might be able to perhaps arrange a workshop for a group or organisation that they're involved in.
Yeah, cool. And that's throughout the ages with tamariki, hey? So I know often there's a lot done in those early years, in those first 1,000 days, but that mahi kind of carries on into adolescence and that side of things too, hey?
We have two focal areas really, and initially we were set up with a focus, and it's still the primary focus, the early years, but also as more research came out around the changes in brain development and opportunities during adolescence, we've also moved into that space and do workshops. And there are a number of articles on the website around different aspects of rangatahi development as well.
Yeah, nice. Two quite challenging age groups when we're parenting, hey?
They can be, yeah.
I feel like I'm still very much in the early years for myself, but it's good to upskill and be aware what's coming.
I found it helpful because I joined Brainwave when my children were quite young, so the earlier stuff was relevant, and then I was still here when they were hitting adolescence, so that was pretty cool too.
Yeah, nice. That's really useful. Cool. So obviously people can go and check out that website and see the articles. And our topic today around those everyday activities, I know that there is an article on the website about that too, hey?
Absolutely. People can just Google or in the search function, perhaps everyday opportunities would take you to the article. It's probably easier than me reciting a long link.
Yeah, cool. So a great thing to kind of check out alongside this podcast, that really useful article. I found it really good. And I know when we were kind of talking about this earlier in the week, Keryn, around those early years and the opportunities that everyday activities bring, it's really been a great reminder for me this week with my small tamariki around just the everyday things that we do and the great things that come from that, and we just kind of take them for granted sometimes, hey?
Oh, we definitely can. And hopefully awareness is growing just how important the early years are and how what happens to and around tamariki can influence all aspects of their development and well-being. But sometimes maybe parents don't know what that actually means on the sort of daily basis. And sometimes people also take advantage of that opportunity to try and get parents to part with lots of money for things, thinking that might help their children's development. So, my aim with that article was to really show the huge value that there is for tamariki in those things that, let's face it, can be quite boring and tedious and repetitive for us as adults, but aren't necessarily so for our pepe and our young tamariki, for whom everything in the world is still new and potentially really interesting. So
yeah, totally. Oh, I'm really looking forward to talking more about this. It's a great topic. You're listening to Being Real Parents with Kate and Anna on Plains FM 96.9. Cool, yeah, so like you say, Keryn, like it is those everyday, sometimes mundane things that we have to do can, sometimes seem quite stressful, some of the things that would need to get done as well. So it is really cool if we can change our perspective on it, hey, and actually think about the great opportunities that our tamariki are getting from that. I know in your article you talk about the supermarket as being a really great example. Do you want to just chat more to that with us?
Sure. I had years of experience of shopping with Littlies and all the trials and tribulations that can bring. But when you've looked at lots of the research, there are just so many different elements of learning, in the broadest sense of learning, that can be happening as we're going about something as simple and, as you say, for us pretty mundane as doing the grocery shopping. So, and parents may not be aware of the huge positive impact that they can be having as they do that. So when we're doing things like wandering up and down the aisles, getting our groceries, there are lots of different aspects of our tamariki skills that we might be supporting. One of those might be language and communication, for example. So, and remembering that our pepe are communicating with us from the get-go. Yeah, communication isn't all about speech.
Yeah.
That the things that they're looking at, pointing at, can tell us a lot about what's catching their interest as well. And by responding to that, by pointing out things to them, we can be discussing all manner of things, pictures of animals on the packets or colours or temperature, as you're going past the fridge or freezer section. There's all sorts of different language and communication opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like often, because we're so busy or we might be thinking about other things, we can really miss those things, hey? Like, I know for myself, if you actually just take a minute and stop and see, like you say, what they're pointing at, and sometimes you're like, why is that fascinating to you, or what have you noticed about that particular thing that's really captured your attention? Because to us, we're just like, it's just the butter or whatever it might be. But yeah, it's really important that we take those moments to actually stop. Hey.
Oh, definitely. And aside from the communication element of that, it's also opportunity for relationship building and strengthening, because when we pay attention to the things that are grabbing the interest or are important to our pepe and our tamariki, we're also inadvertently telling them that what they think, what they're interested in matters.
Yeah, totally.
That their perception, their experience of the world matters to us.
Yeah.
Now, are we going to do that all the time? Of course not. Probably grocery shopping would take even longer. But when we can do those things, when we do notice, there's that element of strengthening the relationship as cool. Well. And as we know from absolute truckloads of research, that relationship that we have with our tamariki is one of the most important protective factors, one of the most important things to set our tamariki up well for their health, learning, development, not just while they're young, but across the rest of their life.
Yeah.
It has a profound influence. And I'm not saying parenting is easy, because it certainly wasn't for me. However, some of the things are in themselves still quite simple and straightforward, even though it's not always easy to do them when we're juggling lots of different aspects. But, it can bring those huge benefits.
Yeah, for sure. And for me, that takes some of the guilt and pressure away from, like you were saying before about the big activities, or the, they often come with a real price too, or the expensive toys, or the hobbies or activities that we feel like we need to get our tamariki into. If we're unable to do that, financially or whatever our reasons for not being able to, it actually is quite reassuring, hey, that there's loads of other ways we can do this. And not only does that strengthen out their communication and those types of things, but also our relationship. Like, it's huge, and for me, very reassuring.
Yeah, and I think it's important that they're not even a second best option. Like, the everyday opportunities aren't, if you can't afford or can't access things, then let's do this. It's, I'd actually argue that it's the other way around.
Yeah, nice.
That it's, in those early years, it's those everyday things, with your loving adults, your special big people in your life, whether that's mum or dad or nana or whomever. That's actually the gold standard of what our tamariki need. And if you can and you want to add some of those other things, maybe I would say do so with caution and sparingly, because too much of that can get in the way of these natural learning opportunities. But that's probably a whole podcast topic in itself. So I think it is important. That was my aim in writing the article. That there's a solid evidence base for the things that tamariki can be learned. I mean, to be fair, they haven't studied supermarkets specifically, but there's huge learning in, like I say, the broadest sense of the word, in those everyday activities with a loving adult, and you can't beat that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And there's, like you said, the supermarket's a great example, but there are lots of different examples, especially if we think about, online shopping now. People may not be in the shop so much, but there are so many examples, of times that you can be doing these just everyday things, going for a walk, making kai or eating kai together, hanging out the washing, doing the weeding. I know I think in the article you even talk about washing the dog. There are so many different examples, hey?
There are, and when I was thinking about this podcast too, I was thinking that the different adults in a child's life probably engage in different things, One grandparent might have a veggie garden, and so involving tamariki in weeding or planting or watering or whatever, that gives some different skills, different sensory input as well. If we're talking about earth and leaves and seeds and water and all that sort of thing, someone else might be a bit more of a whiz in the kitchen. Or so ideally, if tamariki have a number of important adults in their life, they might be being exposed to different types of everyday activities, both at home and, I don't know, on the marae, in a church setting, whatever is important for the whānau. There are lots of different opportunities in all those settings whilst you're just on the face of it getting a job done.
Yeah, for sure. And so you've obviously spoken to the benefits of communication and that relationship building. What other benefits would you say tamariki are getting from these opportunities?
Well, they can have a chance to contribute, which is really, really important. And, you know, we know that when they're contributing and they're little, the enthusiasm might be a bit greater than the skill level and the task might take a bit longer. But that sense of being able to contribute, that mum or dad, you know, trust me to do this, is building a whole lot of skills. Being able to exercise some control, and that chance to contribute and the ability to exercise some control are two of the ingredients that help contribute to resilience, something we all want our tamariki to grow up with. So within activities, you know, there are often some choices, you know, do you want to pick the weeds over here or do you want to sweep them off the path when I've picked them up? Or do you want shall we have apples or pears this week at the supermarket? Two choices, both of which are an available option, make for a much more successful scenario. If you ask someone what they want for lunch, you might get an answer of, you know, ice cream with chocolate sauce, and that wasn't quite what you had in mind. So giving the choices that are available can really help in that sort of decision-making and involvement. Another key area is, and I mean not only, but certainly most parents can probably relate with the supermarket, things don't always go to plan. Someone, big or small, might, you know, find it a little stressful. And while we'd prefer that didn't happen and everything went along smoothly, that's not life. And those opportunities, whilst they might not be fun for anybody at the time, are actually really good learning opportunities. If we can, you know, if, say, in the supermarket, if our peppies become overtired, which is pretty easy to happen depending on the age of you know, tamati, overstimulated, because while it's great learning, there's also a lot going on.
Totally.
If we can respond in a way that meets their needs, then that's gradually over time helping to build their ability to be able to soothe themselves and manage their own feelings. If we don't do that well, and there will be times for all of us where we don't do that well because we are human.
Yeah, for sure.
That also gives opportunities.
Yeah.
And we recognised afterwards, oh, gosh, I overreacted to that, or maybe I could have done something sooner so that it was a bit easier for my child, or I lost my rag and I snapped at them. And, you know, we then have an opportunity to try and put things right, to soothe our child at that point, to apologise for our behaviour, and then try and move that relationship forward in a positive way. And I think that's really important, because we are all going to be making many of those mistakes, for want of a better word,
for sure,
in our parenting, and have our lesser moments alongside hopefully our, you know, plenty of great positive moments. but that's also learning as well. Tamariki can learn people aren't perfect.
Yeah.
Relationships don't have to be perfect.
Yep.
And we can be modelling then saying, like saying that we're sorry. Often we have really big expectations of children to say sorry for things. Maybe we're not always so good at actually modelling that ourselves.
Yeah.
So
there powerful, eh?
I think so.
Yeah.
I wish I had $1 for every apology I'd had to offer my daughters over the years.
Yeah, I mean, the power of modelling that apologising, I think, is huge as well. Like you say, it shows that we are human and that we make mistakes too. And we also show them what we want them to do in the moments when they maybe do something wrong, and the fact that they don't need to be perfect either. They're all huge learnings, hey? Really great things for us to be modelling for sure. So many learnings within those everyday things, hey, that we just do all the time and potentially don't even think about what's happening.
And I think it's quite powerful for parents to realise that actually what they are doing, because as a society we've got a way to go, I think, to really value what it is that parents and the others that are raising children do. And sometimes we tend to only notice like the big things.
Yeah.
And actually to get to the end of a day and think, well, I stopped and took that time to talk about the fruit and veg, or we watched that digger that's working on the neighbour's property and talked about that, and, you know, my child fell over and scraped their knee, and so we had a cuddle and we came through that physical and emotional upset together. Those are huge building blocks.
Yeah, for sure.
For our tamariki development. It kind of doesn't actually get any bigger than that. So, and I think it's really important that parents get some reminders of that when they may not feel like they did much today.
Yeah, for sure. Alrighty, so for our top tips today, Keryn is going to give these to us. So our three top tips.
Thanks, Kate. I guess first of all for me, if parents, people listening, are feeling under pressure to, pay for the educational games and activities and so on, they can really take heart from the research that shows these aren't as important as we might be led to believe, and that there are huge benefits of just engaging with our tamariki in those everyday activities. The second tip would be just try to be aware of what you're already doing to include pepe in everyday tasks. I think it's important that we acknowledge all the positive things that we're already doing. And finally, as we did talk about, if things don't go to plan, if someone or everyone gets upset and things go a bit pear-shaped, that there are lots of learning opportunities in there as well when we can support our tamariki or go back and repair things if we haven't handled it so well. And that provides huge learning about themselves and how the world works and how healthy relationships can work too.
Awesome. Thanks for being with us today.
We hope you've learned that while parenting is challenging sometimes, that's totally normal. It's been fun having you with us. Keep being amazing.